Orogenetic movement of the Earth's crust is directly related to the process and stages of mountain building. They are geosyncline stage, orogenetic and epigenetic stage. Now coming to the geosynclinal stage, a geosyncline is a major structure fold in the Earth's crust on a subcontinental scale. It comprises a linear basin which serves as a repository for considerable thickness of sediment derived from neighboring land masses. If you look into the figure number 2, you will understand that in detail. When the sediment was being deposited in these shallow waters and through their being silted up, the ground for the building of the mountains was being provided. This may be called preparatory stage. Eminent earth scientists like Schur has identified 3 different types of geosynclines, and they are monogeosyncline. In the place of the present Appalachians of North America, there stood a stretch of sea with a long, narrow geosyncline. This region geosyncline suffered a great amount of subsidence. Later orogenetic movements in that area have resulted in the formation of older mountains of United States of America in the eastern stretches. In this figure, you can see the geosyncline. The second type of geosynclines are polygeosynclines. In the present area of Rocky Mountains and other parallel mountain ranges of western USA, once there were many big and smaller geosynclines. They got filled up, and orogenetic movement of later Mesozoic and early Tertiary times have led to the formation of Rocky Mountains and others in that particular zone. Now, there are third type of geosynclines, mesogeosynclines. The Great Sea of Tethys once stood with this kind of geosynclines. Later, orogenetic movements during Tertiary times have raised the sediments from these geosynclines. In fact, Angara land mass of north of the Sea of Tethys and Gondwana land mass from its southern sides have squeezed the geosyncline materials, causing folds, faults, nappies of greater dimensions. Western stretches of this geosyncline, equipped with orogenetic movements, have caused Alps in Europe, Himalayas in India in the east. Mediterranean Sea is the leftover portion of the former geosyncline, and that is the Sea of Tethys. Now, let me come to the second other aspect of the orogenetic movement. Orogenetic stage, when the silting of the geosyncline has gone on for a kind of a rise. See, there was a lateral movement from sides like 2 ends of a pinster. See, under the impact of this thrust or push, the whole strata is pushed and bent into a series of folds. This surface is raised to a dome in the form of an arches of sedimentary beds, which are nothing but fold mountains like our Himalayas. Another important aspect later of geosyncline stage is epigenetic stage. After the strata has been wrinkled and compressed into synclines of troughs and arches, the whole mass began to be lifted up. Due to the compression, the whole area becomes shorter in extent, and due to local isostasy, the whole area is uplifted. That is how the Himalayas, like fold mountains, have risen from the Sea of Tethys. The troughs or synclines often reach the substratum, where the intense heat makes them expand, with the result that the elevation or uplift takes place. That is how many mountains have been lifted up to such heights. The formation of the mountain systems of the world have been cyclic, not intermittent, with fairly well-marked periods of rest. There are examples for Precambrian mountain building, but the post-Cambrian mountains are the important ones, and some important mountains formed are the Caledonian Mountains. These were the ones of the older mountains formed during Silurian and Devonian times of the Earth's history. Roughly, it comes to 300 to 400 million years before present. They were formed in Europe, particularly from Scotland to Scandinavian areas, having Scandinavian folds may be regarded as the best example for this kind of mountain formation. Later, about 300 to 200 million years from present, due to orogenetic movements, formed Hercynian or Huarshican mountain systems. This period is also known as Permo-Carboniferous period, in which great deposits of fossil fuels were formed around the world. It also saw folded mountains extensively in Europe. This type of older folded mountains formed are Sin Ling Shan range of China, the mountains of Malaysia, and mountains of Indonesia, and also eastern cordillera of Australia. Very important mountain orogeny is alpine Himalayan mountain orogeny. That belongs to the recent mountain formations in the Earth's history. During the late Mesozoic and Tertiary periods of Earth history, that is about from 100 to 50 million years before present, spectacular mountains formed on the Earth's surface. The folds of this time stand out in two belts. Number one, Alps Himalayan system, which runs from Baltic to caldera of South Spain, through southern Europe and Central Asia to the East Indies via western Burma. The second major range is the other around Pacific Ocean, namely the Andes of western South America and Rocky Mountains of North America. The Alpine Himalayans, or the tertiary young-fold mountains across the world, have wonderful landforms like folds, faults, synclines, anticlines, and the like, whereas the block mountains are associated with rift valleys, grabens, horse, and other landforms.